This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fully Managed by Penji podcast, the podcast where we discuss marketing and business tips to help assist you on your business journey. I'm your host, Shannon, Penji's partnership coordinator, and I'm joined here today with a very special guest, Sarah Jolly from Jolly Creative Agency. And must I say, me and Sarah have been chatting so much since we met, and she is the jolliest. I don't know if it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it's incredible. Is that your real last name? That is also
We are already friends. We are
Yeah,
already fast friends.
Is that your full last name? Like,
That
actually,
is my last name. Yeah, and I got married 3 years ago, and I told my husband, I'm gonna be keeping my last name.
I'm going to continue to be jolly, even though
I was like, and I was like, don't take that personally. I love you very much. I love your last name very much, but we're already here. I was like, I already feel like that's kind of part of who I am.
that's nice, and I get it. I don't know how I would feel about losing my last name. I think my dad would be upset. I think he loves keeping the legacy. He's big on legacy. But you are one of the jolliest agency creators that I've ever met, probably. So it really is a self-fulfilling prophecy that's kind of incredible. It's like,
Oh, thanks, Shannon.
it's good that your last name isn't negative. I
Grump.
don't Grumpy. Sarah
Grump.
Grumpy. Is that your twin? You're able
She'll probably be like in the comments, Sarah Grumps is like, that's rude. I'm out here and keeping it positive. Sarah's a very common name.
It is a common name. It's also my sister's name. Okay, so first and foremost, please tell us a little bit about you. You can give a fun fact if you want. You can also tell us about your agency and tell us kind of where it is in its cycle, kind of your day-to-day right now, all that good stuff.
Okay, cool. So a little background about me. I have been working with the Jolly Creative Agency, which now feels like its own entity, for 10 years, or a little over a decade, I should say. It started really organically. I was just super interested in design as a kid, always been drawn to it. I was able to work for a business and ended up running the designs in that business. And I'm just a self learner, completely self taught. At the time, you couldn't like Google how to do X, Y, and Z. So I actually had a book of CSS and learning how to code. And I read the whole thing and loved it. And I fell so in love with it. I was always great at math in school, and I just feel like design, I don't know how to explain this, and maybe there's other people with a brain like mine out there. Design feels mathematic to me. So once everything's like right and in the right place, it feels like an equation that's done really well. So anyways, I was just drawn to it as a topic. I freelanced for a year and then was just blessed with business and referrals and things like that. And my business partner, Ren Jolly, is my mom. We're a family run business. I came to her and said, hey, I think maybe we could grow this into something bigger than freelance. And would you want to start an agency together and really do this? And she has a management background. And so, yeah, that was kind of our origin story. We got together and created something new. And at the time, it was very lonely in the digital tech landscape. It was two women in rooms and rooms and rooms of men. And I love our men, so I'm not saying that in a negative way, but it was very kind of isolating and strange to start with. I remember in the very beginning, we would walk into rooms and be talking about digital marketing and websites, website design. And I remember meetings we would actually have to explain why a website is pivotal to a business. And that's almost like laughable now. Like that's not even a conversation you would you would have now.
Yeah.
But it's wild, a decade in this business, and I'm sure other agency owners or people who just work in this industry um, that have done it for the same amount of time or maybe even longer. It's like shocking how fast tech has changed, and of course how the pandemic, grew and changed so much about our industry. But yeah, it's been quite a journey to get here now. I I love what we do. I'm super passionate at this point. I'm completely involved in sales and customer relationships and team training. So I'm not the very, very long gone from the days of being on the back end of websites, things like that. Although it's still a passion of mine, I still keep up with it with our team. I'm really enjoying the growth side of the business, the sales side of the business, and um, constantly in relationship with our customers.
Oh, that's so nice. So that's one. That's a very wholesome start. I love that. I feel like you guys are the jollies together. You're jolly relationship. It's awesome. I can't get over
Yeah.
that. But it's also really nice that you love all the aspects of your agency. Like, can you kind of share how you've been able to grow it thus far? Like, do you have any strategy or do you have any plans that it would become what it is, and kind of how you worked your way through that?
Yeah, absolutely. We decided fairly early on a couple big things about growth. One is we decided to scale back in order to grow. And what I mean by that is scale back services. So many agencies, especially in their infancy, decide they're going to do everything in the kitchen sink just to make money and survive that beginning times. We learned really quickly out the gate that we're going to really niche down. There was several years in the beginning where all we did was web design, and we had a few services outside of that, but we really, really focused on our website design development, really outlining that to just be a super smooth process for our team, for our customers, ironing out all of the like kind of chokeholds in that process, and really getting something supreme. And then we decided that we're going to add in services to our agency as we feel completely proficient to do them. That's something I really believe in and am super passionate about. I feel like our industry, I say this all the time to our team, we are working in a completely unregulated industry. So people's education levels are different. When one person says SEO, it could mean premium SEO. And someone says SEO, it could mean like a very like grassroots local style. Even the terms digital marketing agency mean drastically different things from business to business. So some of that's great. I love that. I love all the diversity. And some of it is very easy, I think, for customers to get kind of the wool pull over their eyes in terms of getting really quality service from agencies. That's something that we didn't want to be a part of. We wanted to just really do authentic business, do well by our customers, and really build our business on authentic long term relationships with our clients. So, in terms of a growth model, obviously, we do our premium website design and development. We do digital marketing, SEO, and Google ads. Um, and we have partners in other areas, if people need branding, if people need social. But we really focus on the core services that we can just knock out of the park. And in terms of a growth strategy, it's been so much referral work because we really focus on long term relationships with our clients. Um, it's almost like an old school way of doing business, but just making great relationships is really like so key, especially in a digital age where sometimes you feel removed from the people that you're working with. Um, that's been a huge part of our business and our growth.
That's incredible. I think that there's two things that I want to touch on that you said. One about the niching down. I think that a lot of I actually this comes up on podcasts a lot actually for I think a lot of people have difference of opinion on whether niching down is important or not. So it's interesting to see your take on it. I think a lot of people will be under the assumption of that when you do niche down, you can specialize in something. You can make sure that you're really good at that one thing and nothing's confusing to the client or potential leads and different things like that. Which is kind of along the lines of what I think you're saying. And then a lot of people also combat that with oh well, like these are what our clients are looking for, so we're just going to do all of those things that they they're asking us for, and that's fine. I
Yeah.
don't have just a problem with either of them, but I think niching down is something that comes up with agencies a lot.
It's scary. It's scary. Like, even as, right, marketers, like, sometimes you'll tell your client, "Hey, we really need to focus on a target audience. Not everyone, and maybe this person and maybe that person. We need to focus on a target audience." But it's scary. It's scary when we tell our clients that. They get scared that they're leaving potential business out the door. It was scary for us to do it. I will say it was really successful what we did. I don't think anything's wrong. And that's kind of also the fun, super creative landscape of digital marketing is you can have your analytics and all your numbers, and it's really good and very helpful and supportive of making decisions going forward. But you also have to be bold and be authentic and just true to who you are, and so that felt true to who we were. And I know a lot of agencies that don't do that. Like you said, they do the opposite, which is so cool. I'm so fascinated by different types of people. Um, it's just different strokes for different folks, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely I come across a lot of different opinions on that concept specifically, and I think like it works for some people, it doesn't work for some people. And I think I really liked what you said though about trying to almost clear up possible confusion, because I think that sometimes I do run into agencies where I look at their website and I don't really understand what they do. And I don't really like I if I was a and I'm supposed to understand these concepts. So
Yeah.
I it's if I have to do some digging to kind of understand, then a client who's looking for services is going to have much more difficult time trying to figure out what's going on. And I think that a lot of people miss the mark with client focused websites, specifically something that is the probably the first thing that people are going to see, unless they're a referral and they're just hearing about you at first. I'm sure that you guys actually, that's a great question. Sorry, I have prepared questions, but this is now
You're
I'm curious.
good.
Um,
Oh, I love curiosity. Let's go down this trail.
so how do you okay, so because you make websites, how do you kind of guarantee that your website is clear and concise and kind of customer centered in the way that it's easily digestible?
Such a fantastic question. Such a fantastic
Thank you.
question. So we do use analytics. We do use, right, we do look at numbers and we do a certain amount of research to find out where you're going to be most successful with your website. Because there's really like, I mean, there's way more than two parts to a website, but you have to think about building the site, building the brand, the message, and the story. And then you also have to really think about post launch. Who are we connecting with? How are we making an emotional connection? How are we getting from point A to point B? We definitely want the analytics and the numbers to be there to guide some of our decision making. But then something that we do in our process is we do not build templates first. And I'll kind of explain. I'm sure I believe the audience here is mostly other agency owners or people who work in this industry. But if there's anyone who's not, I'll explain that just a little bit. A lot of agencies I know create like these blank pages and they create designs first, and then they'll fill in content for these pages, sort of build it out that way. And we found that to be, in terms of a process, really like anti brand and anti story. So we don't create a single thing until gathering all the content from the client and or creating the content with the client. Of course, that looks different for each project. Maybe we're the ones creating the content and we're doing it through interviews and things like that. And then we're writing. But the reason we always do content first is number one, that's one of the biggest pain points between agencies um, and the owners is it's so difficult to get it's like homework, right? And like they're already they're so busy at work. They're so busy in their business. Like it's hard to find the extra time to do the writing, to focus, to give the feedback. So there's a lot of excitement when you first start a project. And so we put that content collection up first before you see any designs because there's still a lot of excitement. We break it down. We kind of have a formula breaking it down in these bite-sized chunks. So it's really easy to produce. But it helps us also to really look at the story and the message and the flow. We stopped doing wireframes for the most part. There's some clients that still make sense for, but for the most part, most people don't understand wireframes. They want to like really think about design immediately, and we want to try to get them out of design and thinking about what are you saying? How are you making a connection with your client? And so if we do that in like a document style versus a visual style, of course, each client's a little different. So if we do work with a client who's totally visual, we have to do wireframes, and that's great too. But it helps them to like disconnect from design and go, is this good content? I see, like you said originally, it's so difficult to go to a website and go like, I don't understand what they do still. And to me, sometimes that's bad design, but most of the time it's bad content. So we really strip it down and do content first. Our creative director has a background in film, script writing. He's award winning. He's fantastic. And so he also really works with our customers to bring forward their story and to bring forward like the snippets, if you will, the way that people read websites quickly. I think you need to understand through like titles and buttons what you do. So he's really good at that as well. So I'd say that's a big thing that we do that's, I think, different from some agencies that really helps the websites connect to their ideal audience member in the end, if that makes sense.
No, that makes perfect sense. And I really like that because not only do I sometimes go on a website and the content isn't there and the idea that I still don't understand what they do, or maybe it's hard to navigate, but I think that I do see a lot of beautiful websites that don't say much. and,
Exactly.
and I just don't really understand it because it's great that the design is there, but the most important thing is conveying something to your audience. And of course, like if they go hand in hand, you can have a boring website and the content's there and it's very clear, but no one wants to click on your website. No one wants to scroll through it because
I mean,
it's
exactly. It's
like
not
a
making
Word
the
document.
connection. Yes, 100%. Like to be successful, you have to make a connection with that user. They need to be able to read and see, and those two mediums have to join. But if you don't have the content written first, and we've tried it a bunch of different ways, but we found that if you don't have the content written first, or at least like 80 to 90%, okay, so you're still gonna like tweak in the ends. Don't get me wrong, doesn't have to be perfection but otherwise, what are you designing to? Because you could design something like sick and awesome and out of this world, but in the end, it's a total miss. And also like it really capitalizes on the excitement that the clients have. So they want to be able to finish all their content so that they can see the designs. And then we're not stuck prior to launch trying to get a bunch of content into a website that ends up just being floppy and just kind of the last thing that the client has thought about. They don't have time. They're excited. They just want to launch now. I see websites still that agencies have launched. I'm not putting anybody down or
Yeah, I know,
anything.
I get it.
But there's back pages with lorem ipsum on them, and it just kind of breaks my heart because I know why that's occurred, and it's because they haven't figured out how to collect content from a client or how to approach that. So, yeah, it's really important, I think, in bringing the whole picture together.
That's actually so funny. I have seen websites like that. I have come into contact with the lorem ipsum, which is
We can, we just redid our own website. We just relaunched. So that was kind of fun because we went through our own process and got to be the client and
oh,
really empathize with the writing is by far, I think, the most difficult part of the whole process. So I really do empathize with it. It's a lot, but if you can get that together and choose an agency to work with that will understand that process with you and not like back burner it because it's difficult. but like prioritize it. It makes a huge difference in looking like you bought a template off the web and then you just filled it in yourself, which some agency websites look like that, versus looking like you worked with a professional and you have something that's above in class than all of your competition.
Yeah, no, that's really yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. And I think that, not a lot of people can read Latin, so maybe you should maybe that's not really helpful. Oh my goodness. But seriously, I don't know. I think it's also like if you're providing a service and a lot of people want a personalized approach and your website doesn't feel personal to you, I think that puts people off. It's not even just like your website can be for the most flawless in a way that there's no mistakes, there's no like it was clearly made to be looked at, but it's not anything special or anything that stands out. And I think that um I don't know, a lot of people don't really I'm sure there are people that look at a website that's like that and they're like, "Oh, yeah, this is like this is easy. This is cut and dried. I get it. Let's do work with these people." But I don't know, maybe that's just not me. Maybe
It's
I'm
just
looking
it's a
for
big
something unique.
task.
Yeah.
I think it's a big task, and I don't blame others. It's a really, really big task. It's really easy, even as a business owner, to look at a website and in today's day and age go, I can do that myself.
Yes.
And we work with a lot of businesses where we're redesigning a website that they originally did themselves, or like a brother, cousin, uncle did. It's just this kind of thing. Because in
Uh-huh.
today's day and age, you're like, can't I just like whisper that into the ear of AI and they'll just create a website for me? Or can't I just buy a template? And I think at a certain level of business, sure, that's fine. And use the tools that you can to grow your business however you can. I'm very pro that. Um, but it's also it's a much bigger task than it looks like when you see a website in the end, and even if it's just 4 or 5 pages and it's brochure style, not even like deep, like membership, subscription, shopping cart, all the types of large sites we work on. Um, it just it a well done site makes you feel like I could do that. But then you get into it and it's so much thinking about your business. And so I think when you do work with an agency partner, you need to find someone that is willing to go that distance with you, willing to go that extra mile with you to really understand your business, help you represent it in the right way. When clients are writing about themselves, a lot of times they really miss the mark because owners know so much about their own business that they're almost incapable of writing about it from the perspective of the client. And so a lot of copywriting that we help our clients with, gosh, I'm almost making it sound like we're copywriters. So like we are designers, developers, we do that too, um, but it's like being able to pull back and go, I don't need you to explain to me every detail of your business. I need you to explain why it's of value to the person who wants to purchase your service or your product. Um, so yeah, it can look a lot easier in the end than the actual process is. And that's why I do think working with an agency, even as so much is changing through AI and so many things are accessible, I mean, it's just facts. It will put you ahead of your competition, especially when you match that then with the analytics and you know, the numbers and making smart choices like that.
Yeah, no, I think I definitely understand what you're saying with it's difficult for a founder or CEO to get out of their own head in the idea
Yeah.
about because it's to them there's all these wonderful things about their agency and yes there is but you don't need to say all of those things on your website. Like you can, and there's a way of saying them, but there's also some things aren't necessary to say.
Yep.
Some things aren't important to most of the people that are going to look at your website or are going to be
Ye
interested in your services anyway. Um, and those things might be important, but they're not the thing that they want to see first. They can always, if there's
Oh,
in-depth
sure.
things, they can just get on a call with you and they can ask you about those things too. Like half the time
And isn't that great? Because then you just got a connection. So I'm so with you. We always say two things when reviewing a site. We do we do a scan and then deep read. And your scan should look like this. You open it up and boom, you're flying through the website. And did you get it? It should really be that fast. Did you get it? Did you totally get what they do? And it's really that simple. And I like a lot of sites you can't, but it has to be that quick. And then your deep read should be, oh, I'm interested in them. But most people don't come to a website and begin a deep read. Most people come to a website and do a scan. So you really need to make sure that like the hierarchy is used correctly. The large copy makes sense that you could just scan the large copy and the buttons alone, maybe with the images as context, and totally get what you do, boom, and get how to contact you. It should be like, we could do a whole class. We could do a whole I like thinking that. And people are like, no, but we want to tell our whole story. I'm like, I'm sorry, but actually your audience doesn't care.
Yeah, you can have a my story category too if you want, like our story, and no one has to click on
Right.
it.
It depends.
If you want,
It depends on the viewer, of course. It depends on the user. But you're 100% right. Get them interested and call you and find out and connect with the business and start building that relationship and
you
give
want
them
them to do
enough.
that.
Yeah, give them enough to go, oh, I'm curious.
Yeah, that's the thing. You want them to like not bad.
Build that
You want
mystique.
them, you don't want them to. You want it's a type of you want the positive You want like,
Oh, the worst
just
that
in
we always
case.
say is don't leave them confused. That is like, goodness gracious, don't leave them confused.
I don't. If I'm on a website and I don't understand what it's giving, I click off. So that's it. That's it. I'm not looking for things. I don't have the
And
time to
Google
look.
feels the same way. So, so we're
Exactly.
very like the way we balance analytics versus humans is and I know each agency is a little bit different, but we don't believe in just looking at the analytics and going, here's exactly what Google wants to see, or going, here's your user base and here's the research we've done. Here's exactly what they want to see. We want to balance them both, but there's some things that both audiences don't want, and Google and your audience, they don't want to be confused. If Google can't understand the intent on your website, they're never going to rank you. They're never going to show you to your audience because they don't get it. So
Confusion isn't good for marketing.
unless
And it boggles them. Like they
it's
want
on
to learn.
purpose.
Yes, like there's so many funny billboards in Philadelphia that are meant to confuse you just so that you look them up. It's actually fantastic marketing, but
I know. The ones that like, who's the guy? I keep seeing him on like Instagram and TikTok. He goes, I think he's a realtor or something. He goes, my Gen Z intern edited this video, and it's just the outtakes of him breathing. He's
I
like,
love those. They make me crack up. I wish the editing team would make funny stuff like that out of the podcast to just be breathing this whole time. 30 minutes.
yes. I'm like, get us confused in a way that gets my attention.
Yeah,
Not like I
God.
wanted to get information from you and you wouldn't provide it. It almost feels like bad customer service out the gate.
Yeah, it almost feels like what do you have to show for your work? Like it feels wrong and somewhat deceptive sometimes. So I'm like, it's like you're tricking me into a call. I
Oh,
don't know. I don't
yeah.
want that. I don't want to call you to learn more the basics. Like to in depth, yes, if everything sounds good, but I shouldn't be calling you to figure out what's going on.
That's such a good point. Nobody wants to feel tricked into a call. No one wants to feel um like technology is working against them. Um, you know what I mean? We're actually kind of finding an interesting trend right now. Not with all customers, but we're there's certain customers that makes sense for their business, and there's certain ones that the classic online form, the generic form on every single contact page of 98% of websites out there, is starting to have a backwards effect where users and visitors are getting smart and It certainly works on certain businesses, so I'm not saying across the board to get them out of there, but here's where it's important to, like, be in connection with your customers. Um, if you know it's not working for you, rip that off of your site yesterday. If that thing is just piling up spam for you, rip it off your website. I just yeah. And like our younger generations are growing up and they kind of don't trust things like that. They're like, no one's gonna check that. you know.
I when I first started doing outreach and no one told me how to do it, I was contacting people through there, and not one person responded to me. So they're not
Bingo.
real.
And I will tell you from the hundreds of sites that we do maintenance on, I can tell you that they are one of the number one things that break regularly on websites.
That's
So
interesting.
there is a certain amount of um, if a business is not working with like a maintenance company or like a web maintenance, um, then they would have no idea that their form is breaking. So that's something we do when we maintain sites for our customers. We're constantly checking that and making sure that's always live. That's probably why a lot of people are not getting responses to their requests. Yeah. I think the new generations are onto it. They're like, people don't respond to this and we don't know why. And businesses are confused too. You're losing out on customers. So
Yeah, because
um
they're just asking a question.
that's another good thing we haven't even talked about is like you got to build the site and then you got to maintain it, baby. If you're not doing that, then you are losing customers.
Yeah, no, constant. You can set someone up for success, but if they're not doing the things that you tell them they should do, or even just routine maintenance on things. Like we're I think my boss sends us a copy of our website like once a week. Like I think he like is consistently, constantly making tweaks. Like it I will look at it and I'll be like, that looks exactly the same to me. I've seen this so many times. It's exactly the same. And it's like he just changes like one thing, like a widget, like he moves it to a different corner or something like that. And I'm like, okay. But like he's thinking about it at least, and that's good. I'm sure that's amazing. And getting a new set of eyes is always good. I think when I came on the team, he was very excited. He's like, okay, one more person to look at the website that has
Yes.
not looked at it every day for the next 6 months.
Yes, it is a living, breathing organism of your company. It is not a set it and forget it in any sort of way. I mean, I told you in our coming up story that we used to have to sit in these conference rooms and go, this is why a website is so important to your business.
It is.
Um, that was only 10 years ago. So like that's how fast tech is changing and it only changes like at an increased rate. So exponentially. So yeah, if you're not staying up with what's happening. And there's no way a business owner is going to know all of that. Like this, you need people who are living and breathing this industry day in and day out. And even us, we're networking all the time with our other agency owners, other professionals and experts in the business, and going, what are you guys learning? Cool. What are you learning? Information sharing. That's another reason I wanted to come on this podcast. Beyond the fact that you're so lovely, and I just loved meeting you. I love that you're doing this for agencies to be able to connect with each other because we can learn so much from each other
Yeah.
and then share that information with our clients and get rid of these horror stories that clients come to me and they go, we don't trust, we got
Well,
effed over by a business and we paid them this amount of money and nothing happened and big promises and like, let's end that
yeah,
by us all communicating and creating a great community where we really service our customers well. I hate when customers come to me with that horror story and then, we'll
literally.
take as long as we need to win their trust back. But goodness gracious, that's like,
Exactly.
it's so sad.
To have a bad taste in your mouth, especially for something that a lot of people personally believe they can do themselves, so which like you talked about earlier, is like
Right.
it sucks to find out that something that, an agency can do, but they find out that someone else burned them in the past, and now this company is they might try to do it themselves and then be horrible at it because it's so much to manage and you need like a team of people to be able to help you with this. You can do it yourself, maybe.
Go.
It might take a really long time, might be a lot of money that you may because you're not an expert, and that's okay. It's okay to be like,
And it's
Hands off. Hands
okay.
off. We're gonna give it to someone else. It's okay.
It's okay.
Trust an agency.
That's interesting. We created a service that is just for that group of people who are still hands on with their business and their website, but they want to start growing trust and don't have the budget to work with a full agency. But in my mind, I saw this gap in the market where I was like, okay, people in some small businesses to mid-sized businesses. I feel very passionately about helping businesses grow. That's why we do what we do, and we try to do as much work locally as we can. And we have half our team in Arizona and half our team in California. Um, but so I saw these businesses that were defaulting to work with freelancers, which is a huge gamble. I've met amazing freelancers who know their ish, and I would recommend them day in and day out to clients who can't afford to work with us. But it's a gamble. Then I know some that you're not getting what I think that your business deserves. So we created a a website management service called WebCare, and it's a way for those businesses to get agency level care and management. We just kind of like become an extension of their team so that they can still feel totally autonomous with their website. Like they haven't given up the reins, but they can start to feel what it feels like to have an agency that you can trust start to take over and become the expert. And then once they have that feeling of freedom and that service has helped them build their business, then they're ready to grow and grow with us. But it's so awesome I see that program all the time or that service, like almost rehab clients that have just been so burned in the past and are like, I want to start at something very entry level, um, and just rebuild that trust again.
Yeah, that's really lovely. And that's kind of even what Penji does. We're kind of supposed to fill that gap of if you want to hire a freelance graphic designer or something like that, where to a smaller fee than hiring a full-time worker in your company and then maybe not being happy with the way that they work or the way that they design and different things like that. So yeah, it's very similar in the idea that, like, you still have the reins in the idea that you're submitting your projects and you're monitoring them and you're doing all of that, but, like, we're doing the work for you. And you can just,
Yeah.
like you can be involved, but only so much. Like, you don't have to do any work. You just have to tippy type a little bit, give us a little description, and you're all good, and, can you do edits throughout that too. And,
Yes, I love that. Because when you have a larger agency that has already you're not just then going out and getting like a freelancer or like you have the trust built in. You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like this is a core team that can handle this super well. Um, and it's more affordable. I think that's so awesome. I just think it serves businesses at large that can really use it. Yeah, I couldn't say enough about that. I'm very passionate about that.
I agree. No, I definitely agree, and that's it's really great to one get to talk to you because I have to cut this short. So I'm gonna say thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shannon.
Thank you so much. It's also really great to talk to someone who like kind of has the same feelings about agencies and how we should communicate better with each other, and it's just like a really great outlook to have. So I really appreciate chatting with you and kind of like talking about this concept because I think everyone who's watching, more agencies that want to come on this podcast and chat about things that we should all be chatting about, do that.
Yes.
It's so lovely. And
Yes, 100%. Let's do it. Feel like Shannon, you and I, we're going to talk after. We're going to build some sort of
yes,
group that's like
it's gonna be
getting
great.
us together because
Little
it's,
network.
yeah, like, I mean, I'm sure you have it too. I've like, you build your own networks just to information share, but so beautiful what you guys are doing. I love it. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for letting me be a part of this. Great opportunity. And you're so special and wonderful. And I really appreciate it.
So
Thank you to you
special
and
and
thank you to
wonderful.
Penji.
So jolly. All right.
We're coming into my season. We're just a few months away.
Perfect. Yeah, it's such a perfect name though. I can't even say it enough. I mean, good thing you didn't change it. I don't know what the other one is, but jolly. Well, thank you again so much for everyone listening or watching at home. Don't forget to like and subscribe to talk to such lovely people like Sarah. Or you don't get to talk to them, I do, but you get to listen. So that's just as lovely. Probably. Thank you so
Probably.
much. I appreciate it. Have a lovely day, and thank you for listening.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.